All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This is Darren Smith along with Steve Walls. This is the Chiefs Cheat Sheet. We are live from Arrowhead Stadium, getting you all prepared for kickoff today, this afternoon, 3:25. As your Kansas City Chiefs, your defending Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs, take on the Los Angeles Chargers live from SoFi Stadium. Chiefs now they are going to be the ones that are going to be christening and opening up the stadium for the AFC side. Last week it was Dallas and the Rams. This week Chiefs Chargers. Steve, good morning to you. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Right out here inside of what is this, Zone 5, Arrowhead Stadium. We're right in the parking lot M. I guess this would be the parking lot, right
Yeah,
between
let me know.
Arrowhead and Kauffman Stadium. So, man, I'm excited. I wish we had some tailgate grill going on out here, maybe a little Gates barbecue.
Might
But
have to,
it,
might have to talk to Ollie about opening up a little bit earlier just for that.
exactly. But it's gonna be a great day. Even though the Chiefs are playing out in Los Angeles, $5 billion stadium. That's the thing that's crazy. Just looking at the stadium from the camera, I wish we were there. But looking at it from the camera, it looks like it's amazing.
Well, I'm just thinking about what we saw last week on Sunday Night Football. The stadium got to open air. Look, we were setting up and just thinking about things, man. We really should have been out there. COVID be damned. You know what I'm saying? Chiefs could have made sure, you know what I'm saying,
I
that
don't
that
want those
that
problems. Not at all.
no, that's why hey, that's why they created mass, Steve. We could have been out there. We
I
should have
don't
been
want
out
those
there
problems.
doing it for the people. So but look, it's gonna be a big day, obviously, for the Chiefs and for the Chargers. Look, they spent $5 billion, and I think most of it came from the Rams owner
Cronky.
Kroenke, where and I believe that Sam cost almost $6 billion. I think it was like 5.6 by the time that the price tag got finished up.
Thing about that though is you have the Rams and you also have the Chargers, so it's really two teams. That's how the $5 billion
Chargers at
came into
least about
play.
that.
Yeah, and the thing about it, you have two teams, so it's really 2.2 billion per. So if you think about it that way, what did a
That's still a
Jerry
lot of
Dome
money.
cost? Like 2 billion, something
It
like
costs
that.
a lot of money.
Yeah, so I mean, and just looking at it from camera, like I said, you have the big pillars, like you're somewhere in Rome, ancient Rome, and it's amazing. Translucent roof. I can't wait till they have Super Bowl out there. And I think what is it, 2023?
I think so. And then, of course, look, later on this year, Chiefs going out there around, I think week before Thanksgiving, Allegiant Stadium. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Death
yeah.
Star.
Yeah, that's another stadium. If I had to choose between which one, I definitely just because it's Vegas and because and I like black, so I think the L.A. Vegas, I mean
But
the
I'm still
Vegas
going out there.
Raiders
I'm
stadium is
still
gonna be
going
dope.
out there. I mean, we might have to do something remote because I might have to fly out there.
I don't want those problems.
That's okay. We'll just do remote. I'll send you an invite. I do it from there. You do it from here.
All
We
right,
good.
cool.
But look, obviously let's get started. Obviously, Chiefs coming off of a big 34-20 win
Hmm.
against the Houston Texans in week number one. Obviously the star of the game was a rookie running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He had 25 carries, 138 yards. Patrick Mahomes, pedestrian 211 passing yards, but three touchdowns, no interception. Team looked good, and to me, the team looked good, even though they didn't really have big padded stats outside of the running back.
The thing about that is, will he be able to repeat that? I mean, his debut, he was a first round pick, of course, for the Chiefs, and he had a lot of people that wanted to see him do well. High expectations for Clyde, and I think he fulfilled those in week one. But think about it, they have film on you now. Before, all they had was what you could do in college with no preseason games. So you shocked the world a little bit, but now will you be able to repeat it? And that's going to be the number one thing. And when you think about just the offense as a whole, you know, uh, let's face it, they have, to me, the number one, and I would imagine to you as well. They have the number one offense in the whole NFL, the best
Definitely got
quarterback,
the number one
the best
quarterback.
quarterback in the league. And I don't want to be biased, but the best quarterback in the league. And I know you like Tom Brady. I know you like
Whoa,
the
whoa, whoa,
Tampa Bay
whoa,
Buccaneers. I don't
hold on, whoa,
don't.
whoa, whoa. I like them to get to Super Bowl to fail against the Chiefs. Don't make it seem like I don't have the Chiefs going 19-0. So don't
You
do
do,
that.
but you still like
Don't do
Tom
that.
Brady.
Well, they got to play. They have to face somebody, Steve. I
Okay,
mean, they can't play themselves.
okay,
I mean,
okay. But I say that to say this: will Clyde Edwards-Helaire be able to repeat in week two?
That's a good question. I mean, well, I don't see why he couldn't. The question is going to be what's the Chiefs' game plan? Because look, like, as Patrick and as Andy said, they they ran their offense considering what Houston, what the Texans gave to them last week. So they were expecting man. They came out in zone that allowed them to run. The thing is because now they have film on Clyde.
Hmm.
The question is going to be what are you going to do? Because they spent a lot of last week doubling Tyreek Hill, so that left other receivers open. But now that you know what this running back can do, he's the leading rusher after week number one. Again, you got to pick your poison. And we have yet to see Clyde in the passing game. I know he was targeted twice, but didn't have any catches in that game. And so, I mean, that's just an added bonus for Patrick. You got obviously we'll talk about a little bit. You got Melvin Ingram, and you also have Joey Bosa on the edges, and of course they'll be going up against Swartz and Eric Fisher. So that's going to be matchups and battles within themselves that we get a chance to see. But look, if they can at least sustain those two guys, it could be a big offensive day for Patrick Mahomes, who needs 377 yards, I believe, to be the fastest quarterback to get to 10,000 yards.
That's very interesting. Another interesting thing is that they've beaten the Chargers in four different stadiums, including Arrowhead.
That's
I mean, when you think about it, they beat them at
they
Arrowhead,
did they did beat him.
Qualcomm, they StubHub Center,
So yep.
which is primarily the soccer stadium out in LA, and then they beat them in Estadio Azteca in Mexico last year.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
forget
yeah.
about that. We were there for that game.
No, I didn't forget about that. I was thinking about the soccer stadium because I was looking at four stadiums. But yes, they did that. So they beat them in two different countries too. So let's keep that in mind as well. So, well, it's going to be big. Now, look, we'll talk a lot about it. Because I'm looking at it, from the outset that you know Chiefs are going to be at a little disadvantage when it comes to the outside. They're going to, they're without the two starting cornerbacks, of course, Rashad Breeland because of suspension,
Hmm.
Travarius Ward because of the injury to his hand, and of course, they do have two Pro Bowl type receivers in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams out there. So to me, that's going to be the biggest challenge for Kansas City today, and that's going to be that's going to be the matchup to watch, especially if you're a fantasy guy or a prop bet guy like myself and Steve.
But and the Chiefs have also won 9 out of their 10 last games against the Chargers, right?
No, they won 11 of the last 12.
11 of the last 12. Anyway, they have the Chargers number, right? And
They do.
also Andy Reid is hot in September, right?
Actually, Patrick Mahomes, I think the last 2 years he's undefeated right now. I think he's either 8-0 or 7-0 right now in September games. So that's another, and he has yet to throw an oh gosh, I don't want to jinx him, but he has to throw an interception in the month of September as well.
But the Chargers have also they've held Mahomes. Last year he only had what 200 yards passing, and he also
Mm.
had an interception last year as well. So I think when you look at today's game, there's so many different ways that you can say, oh, okay, the Chargers will come out and do this, the Chiefs will come out and do that. Lining up to just play the game, anything can happen any given Sunday.
Yeah, look, Andy Reid's 13-4 against the squad. Anthony Lynn's only 1-5 against the Chiefs.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, it's going to come down to coaching. And right now, I trust Andy Reid a lot more than I trust Anthony Lynn, who I like. We got a chance to, I say, get to know him just a little bit more during the hard knocks and stuff, which, you know, builds in a little bias. You're like, man, I don't want to do this to you, but we got to put the L on you. And that's what's going to happen again today, in my opinion, with the Chiefs and the Chargers.
The Chargers haven't fared well in the AFC West in the past few years, and
Well, they
that's
have
why
Philip
I
Rivers,
think
too.
Anthony Lynn is on the hot seat. Because if you let's just say the Chargers are last in the AFC West again this year, which I mean, when you look at what the Raiders are able to have done in Week 1, when you look at what the Denver Broncos, I think it'll be kind of a race to last place for between the Denver Broncos and the
I
Chargers.
think the Denver Broncos will get there with no problem
You think
whatsoever.
so?
Yes, yes, yes. Without Von Miller, you got a coach that has
Uh,
clock management problems. You know, what I'm saying that used to be something that used to be, something that we dreaded with Andy Reid. But Super Bowl title can kind of erase all those good things like that. All those, but that being the case, no. No, I mean it's. I don't see him being on the hot seat one because you drafted a quarterback with your first round pick, and because of that, you gotta have a little groom now. Unless the quarterback comes in the middle of the season, unless Tyrod plays bad where you replace him, maybe then Anthony Lynn will get a reprieve. And plus, with this whole COVID stuff, I mean, it's not much you could do in the offseason. So I would give him this grace period this year, and then next year, once their quarterback it becomes a starter, because otherwise, if you replace him, then you still got to replace. You probably got to replace the offensive coordinator unless you promote him to the head coaching position or the
Hmm.
quarterback's coach, or you got to bring somebody else in new, and then he's got to learn a whole new system. So, it's you don't want to be too hyper overreactive, if you're the Chargers, because one, they're cheap as well, so they don't generally like to pay people until this off season when they did Joey Bosa.
But here's the interesting thing too about this game. This could be what people call the dreaded trap game, right? Because you have this Chargers team that the Chiefs are like, oh, we have their number. You look at there's no Phillip Rivers. I mean, Keenan Allen, he hasn't he's torched the Chiefs a few years, but last year he didn't do much, right? And then there's the defense. You're just looking at Joey Bosa, but then look ahead to week 3 and week 4. You have the Patriots against the Chiefs, and then you have the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, actually, Baltimore Ravens next week, in the Patriots of the week after.
Right,
So,
right. So week 3 and 4, but you have this Chargers game that's just thrown right in there, and it's like this should be an easy win. However, they don't want to overlook this team.
well, the one thing I'll give Andy Reid credit for in the staff is they don't look past the opponents that's in front of them. So that's the one beauty of this. Now, while it's our job to look ahead, of course, as the Chiefs
Hmm.
fare well, and look, we'll talk about this a little bit, but obviously it could be a trap game for Baltimore because they face the Houston Texans later on today. Obviously, I think we both expect both teams to move on. Obviously, for the big Monday night matchup that's going to be taking place in Baltimore on next Monday night. But I don't, it does. There's nothing in Kansas City's DNA at the moment that has shown me that they'll look past their opponent, because if so, that's how you risk injury, and,
Hmm.
and I don't see that happening. They have the respect where they look at their opponent and they know that they got to line up against them, and then whatever happens, happens. But I don't see them. I don't see them. I don't see any reason why, and they haven't given me any reason why they would overlook the Chargers to get ahead to Baltimore next week. And to be quite honest, I just don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening either, but crazier things have happened. I
Yeah,
mean, they
but
could come
but
out
but
here.
but again, if you do that, you're gonna get yourself hurt.
Right, and the thing is, good thing about this Chiefs team is that they look good on paper, and we seen them the eye test week 1. Before we didn't have an eye test, we didn't know if they were going to come
We were
out
just taking their word.
right. We just took their word for it. Of course, we know that they won the Super Bowl, right? But this year we didn't have any preseason games, so we didn't know what they were going to. Are they going to come out and play the same way as they played in Super Bowl? Uh, so it's the question. The question still remains: will this team be able to do what they did in Week 1?
Well, that falls to coach, and obviously, week number one, they look to be in mid-season form. Only one penalty. I mean, that's something that I've harped on throughout the Zoom calls this week, and I talked with Andy, asked him about it, because to me that was the most impressive thing. What Clyde did, stood out.
Mm-hmm.
That takes nothing away from him. But the fact that they were able to play the game and only have one false start penalty, no defensive penalties whatsoever, no holding, no none of that stuff, that to me says a lot about the coaching staff, what they were able to do without a preseason, without really OTA. They did all that coaching and all that, but it also goes to the fact that because you brought a collective unit back, and you
Right.
you just pretty much brought in rookies and stuff to kind of fill in the holes. They know what they need to do, and so a lot of it could have, probably was muscle memory. And for that fact, we saw how clean that the Chiefs looked in week number one. And I look, I don't see any reason why they can't repeat it. The fact that there's not going to be any folks in the stands out there,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
But are there ever for the Chargers anyway?
that is
I mean,
that's
look at last year when the
that's
Chiefs
a
went
good
out there
point.
to,
That's
to
a good point.
play. I mean, there were definitely more Chiefs fans out there, and I think that helped their win last year as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a
I
big
mean,
deal.
you heard it. We were, of course, out there at the game, but on camera, you heard it. There, you heard you heard all that. So, and
Yeah,
you came through on camera. So, with the fact that they have no fans, I don't think that will sway either team either way. So, I mean, people like to just throw things out there like that, but I don't think it'll matter.
nah, but again, this is the first time that they'll be playing in this environment. I mean, the Chargers did last week, and we
Hmm.
saw, they came back 16-13 over the Bengals. But the Chiefs, they at least had 16,000 fans. And so, I mean, because the fans were loud enough here last week in the first quarter that Houston was drawn, into a false start, and I think they might have been drawn offside as well. So, fan participation does play a factor in these games. And so we'll see how the Chiefs, because I think you asked Andy Reid this week, how are they going to adjust to it, with the calling of the plays and
Mhm.
when you're out there in the huddle, because if you're out there yelling and stuff, the other team may be able to hear you and vice versa.
And I think that's what Patrick Mahomes. Hopefully, he worked on that with the different signals and using some silent counts. Because when you're in the huddle and the other guys are 12 feet away from you, they're able to just hear your calls. And so I would assume that they worked on some things to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Well, that's what we hope. Because I know if he
Andy
doesn't,
Reid's no fool, man.
nah, I know
You
he's no
know,
fool, but I know if he does, I know you're gonna ask him post game, Patrick. You told us this and this didn't happen. What happened? And so, yeah, I'm with you. I believe at the end of the day that the Chiefs will make whatever adjustment they need to make during the opening drive, if not the first quarter. So again, I don't think it's going to be a factor, but because they never played in that type of environment, we still have to wait and see.
and we talked about Chiefs fans. We have a couple of Chiefs fans that are walking around here. You know, I don't know if he thinks the game is here or or what's going on, but we
Maybe
have
it's
some
obvious.
fans like lining up already to go into the stadium. Maybe they have like a watch party or something going on out
That's a good question.
here. But another thing that happened on the we talked about the Zoom calls earlier this week, and had the opportunity to ask Chief Safety Tyrann Mathieu about him saying after the game last week that he was pissed off, right?
Yeah, he was,
And as Tyron, you
and I
know,
understood why.
you said that you were pissed off last week. Is that because you weren't content with the win, or is that because you allowed the other team to score? And he basically said it was because he allowed the other team to score, and we wanted to keep them at 7 points.
Look, I that's a good point. Obviously, Kansas City always seems to start off slow. I think the Texans scored first in
Mhm.
that game against the Chiefs last week. So you find yourself, oh my gosh, here we go falling behind again. But of course, the Chiefs went on a 31 to 0 run
Right.
to retake the lead before they gave up. Those two scores at the very end. Look, I get what he's saying, because you want to make an impact, you want to make a statement. Opening week of the season, you don't want people being as the defending Super Bowl champion. You want to make sure that they don't have any reason to believe that they can come back and beat you, and that's look with 31-7. Yeah, late yardage and late scores. Yeah, I believe it's more of a prideful thing, and the stat thing as well, because you do want your stats to look good. But we got to remember they've won 10 games in a row right now. So
Mhm.
that's something that, that's, hey,
You keep throwing out these stats, man.
I'm
It's like
just,
it's like all right, they won 10 games, 10 games in a row.
if I don't do
Uh,
it, the people would. They're going to be like, Darren, you got to go 19. You
Yeah,
don't even
but
make it to the.
here's the thing too. You say that, and now they're expecting. Okay, well they need to win 11 games. This streak is on the line, so you don't want to jinx it and be like, oh, there goes their streak. Come on, Darren, you can't do the team like that. You can't be biased out here.
I'm not, hold on, I'm not biased. But if I got a team going 19-0, I expect them to win. Am I right, people?
Okay, all right.
I
Well,
just, that's it.
Steve Spagnuolo also, we had a
That's our
chance to
guy.
ask him about Tyrann Mathieu being the leader of this team and not wanting to settle. What does that say about Tyrann Mathieu? And he responded,
That's what he likes to
Tyrann,
hear. He sounds like
exactly.
him.
He wants to hear that, and it's just typical Tyrann Mathieu. Not wanting to settle for allowing these guys to score. Oh, not wanting to just settle for the win.
No, again, that's but see, here's the thing: expectations. We expected this because why not?
Mhm.
They finally got a year under Spags in the system, and they came together. They got real healthy towards the end of the year, and we saw that they ended up being, I think, the number one ranked defense when they as they went on to their streak to win the Super Bowl. Again, now that you've done that, the expectations are higher even for the players. We've talked about this for the players themselves. Okay, we got a year underneath the system. We don't have to worry about trying to figure out, okay, is Frank going to be here? Am I going to be here? Where are
Mhm.
we supposed to be? You know where you're supposed to be, and Steve is putting them in a position. And I guess the biggest thing for them is that obviously if they can keep from coming back from behind and starting off slow, and if the offense can come out ahead, 7 points, 10 points, 14 points, now you allow Steve to kind of call them plays where they can go after the quarterback. Well, now, hey, okay, Frank, I'm gonna put you in a situation. Go and get you 2 sacks today. And so that's what they're looking at. To me, Steve put him in a situation to where now, the offense is ahead. Now we can go after the quarterback. We can go make these big plays without giving up big plays on the back end.
And here's the thing about that. You mentioned they started off slow last week. You don't want to get comfortable with doing that. I mean, you did it all last year. You did it in the Super Bowl. Hey, at some point, teams are going to put their foot on the gas and not let up. It's not going to be so easy. Now, people will say, "Oh, well, Steve and Darren, they have Patrick Mahomes. He's able to air it out. They have Tyreek Hill. They're able to stretch the field. They can score in bunches." Well, here's the thing: you go up against a tough Baltimore who has a great offense and a great defense. They may get up 10, 14 points, and hey, you won't be able to come back from that deficit.
No, I agree. Look, I've always had a problem with Kansas City starting off. Well, the one thing that they did last week that I like, I think they um, they won the coin toss and elected to defer. I like that. So,
They always elect to defer.
nah, I
Yeah,
thought
they
they
wait.
used to.
That's one thing we always
Yeah,
talk about.
okay.
They they always
That's what I.
that's Andy. He gets it. He
Look.
wants to
I
fill you
forgot.
out. He
Look,
wants to fill you out,
we
and
won
then
ten.
and then
Look,
come back at
we had
halftime.
won 9 games in a row. To that point, I guess it didn't matter to me. But I generally like for them to, if they win the coin toss, to receive the ball, go down and making them, make your statement early on and make the other team play from behind. But
Nah, you gotta play defense, man. You take the jabs first, and then you come back with a haymaker. That's just how it is.
I prefer just knock somebody out with a one hitter quitter out the bat. I don't want this face getting punched. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about you. Maybe you like getting hit. I don't know.
No, I don't. Pause.
What you, you know what I'm saying? Hey man, hey, what you got going on the show? I don't know. But I ain't trying to get hit.
All right, man. Let's take a quick break. We're broadcasting live right here at the parking lot of Arrowhead Stadium. Hey, if you're rolling past Gates on 40 Highway and you're right down the street, bring
Colin,
myself,
if you
Darren
want
Smith.
to, just have somebody drop us a slab off. I know you watching. Have somebody bring a slab
Bring
off
us
this
some
way.
food out here, man. Come fire up the grill. Come tailgate. Bring a TV. Pitch the tent, and let's make a day of it.
I did make that suggestion.
You did. It's too much work.
Gary Hells, I'm gonna need you to have that done. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna tell you. Next time we do something like this, which will be probably next Monday, we need to have Victor Simmons, Isaiah Simmons, there on the. Oh gosh,
Man.
shout out to Victor Simmons and the great job that you did on the grill. But you said we'll take
We're gonna
time
take a
out.
quick break. We'll be back in a few minutes. This is Steve Walls, Darren Smith, pregame cheat sheet. It's pretty. Yeah, if you read them to us, then we should post it. Then people will be able to see it.
I gotta take my. All right, we're back. Cheat Sheet with Steve Walls and Darren Smith. Of course, you all are watching us via social media. Appreciate you all tuning in and joining us. Steve,
Appreciate you guys, because here's the thing: this thing doesn't work without the viewers that view, and
facts.
I like to get to some comments, man.
Well, let's do so, man. Let me pull up the little stream here, see who we got. Look, there's a lot of people actually commenting on. So there are people talking about they're going to church. They're going to go back to church and watch us
Hey,
online.
here's the thing: tell Pastor that pray for us while we out here, and say a little sermon. That way we can listen in on what you got going on in church.
Well, they can do that. They can also, bring us some bring us some gates out here too if they want to.
Oh, what, you can't skip
Um,
church to go to Gates, man.
I didn't. Nobody said nothing about skipping gates. What's wrong with you? All I said was, bring us some gates out here. So yeah. All that being said, but no, we got a lot of people that are commenting just Chiefs, 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 go Chiefs. I'm gonna look on our Sports Radio 810 page. I know we got viewers looking at us on there. But look, in the meantime, looking at the Chargers, though, what are we expecting out of Tyrod Taylor? Look, I've said all this week on our various shows that Tyrod is not. He's not a quarterback that's going to beat you, but he's not a quarterback that's going to lose the game for you as well.
Here, here's the thing about Tyrod. The Chiefs defense, they understand what he wants to do because Spagnuolo is very familiar with Tyrod, of course, being in Buffalo while he was there, right? So he has he knows his tendencies and what he's able to do. And I don't think Tyrod's going to beat you in the air. However, I wouldn't underestimate his ability to get the ball down the field. We both saw what the line is on both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
Yeah, no, I mean, and look at it. I mean, Keenan Allen had 4 catches last week, but against Kansas City, he's had 8 catches, 70 plus receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. So so he can make big plays against Kansas City. Mike Williams, the last time these teams played, he had 4 catches, 75 yards against the Chiefs, and that was, of course, down in Mexico City. I see the key for them is going to be their tight end, Hunter Henry. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, granted, I'm a prop bet kind of guy. I'm looking for him to have a decent day today. Obviously, there's nothing that for me that would put me out there that would think that the Chargers would win in today's game. But the one player that's going to be key and crucial to them if they were to win is going to be their running back Austin Eckler, both in the backfield and as a receiver as well.
And so you think it was the running back? I think the Chiefs are taking pride. Especially Chris Jones, and the other front four that you have, front three and front four that you have that are able to. They want to stop the run, right? They want to get after the quarterback, stop the run. That's their main job. I would more lean towards saying it's going to be with no Brashad Breeland you mentioned and no Travarius Ward that you're going to want to make sure that your cornerbacks, your back end is set so that way that the receivers don't beat you. Look, Keenan Allen last week he didn't have an amazing game, but he did have 4 catches, 70 plus yards.
Yeah,
So you're going to want to stop him. A
no,
lot a lot of people are like, well, Keenan Allen and Keenan Allen's coming into this game with something to prove because if you remember his tweet earlier this year, well, there's no way that Tyreek Hill should be above me on the top 10 receivers list.
yeah, yeah. And you know
So
what? But you know what? Because of that smoke he's gonna bring, I'm telling you. Look, we all we all feel that Patrick is going to win another MVP. We feel like he's going to come back, bounce back. And to me, even though he only had 211 yards and 3 touchdowns, to me, it wasn't really an MVP like performance, but it didn't have to be
mhm.
because what it showed is that he doesn't have to throw for 5,000 yards, doesn't have to throw for 50 touchdowns for this team to try to win. Again, you want at the end of the day for Patrick and this offense to be healthy going to the playoffs. So to me, if he throws for 3,500, 4,000 yards, and gets 30 to 35 touchdowns, I think that's still good enough for the Chiefs if for them to get the number one seed, and I think that would still be good enough for him to win an MVP. I say all that to say that for what Keenan Allen had to say, look for a big game today for Tyreek Hill because players, as we know, they remember things. They kind of write some things down.
Mhm.
Saying I think Tyreek might have said something back in return. But if you're the Chiefs, if you're Tyreek Hill, you do your talking to Phil Patrick. Hey Patrick, you know what my guy, you know what this guy said. Don't make, and here's the other thing, pride is another thing. Players knowing if you're going against a quote unquote contemporary, somebody who feels that they should be ranked higher to you, they don't want to get shown up. So you can expect Tyreek like, hey Patrick, first play of the game, let's do a go route. Now, what you want to do with that is you put Los Angeles on the heels right off the bat. So now they don't know where you're gonna come because
Mhm.
they don't know if you're gonna stretch the field or if you're gonna hit them with the rookie. Either way, it works to the Chiefs' favor. But I do expect a big game from Tyreek Hill today.
I do as well. However, Joey Bosa, that's a man out there,
It's a man's
right?
man.
He's
He got the
had
paycheck to prove it too.
he's had a sack in I believe 2 out of his last 3 home games.
That's not
So
saying much.
I mean, it's not saying much, but if he just has an amazing day, which the Chiefs, they look, we know that they have a target on their back.
Oh yeah,
Every team wants to prove a statement. This
facts.
will be a statement game if Anthony Lynn is able to come out and beat this team. This is when he's able to go back and go back to ownership and say, "Hey, I beat this Chiefs team. I don't know what everybody else is doing in this division, but I know the Chargers team that I coach, that you guys have me on the line for, is we beat this Chiefs team," and that's what he wants to be able to say.
Yeah, he wants me to say that I'm gonna do everything I can, Jedi mind trick, to make sure that doesn't happen today because I cannot afford to. One, I can't afford to come into our post game tonight or tomorrow and have you and everybody else ragging on me about them going 19-0 and they come out 1-1. So I don't. I please don't let that happen, Jesus. But all that being said, no, it would be a good win for Anthony Lynn if they were able to do that. Obviously, Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram. And of course, he had 2 tackles for a loss and a sack last week. Melvin Ingram had his third career interception last week. So look, Patrick cannot get sloppy. But again, when you have a starting lineup of Tyreek Hill, are you going to double him in this game or what? If not, you got Sammy Watkins. Are you going to double him or are you going to play off of him? If not, you got Travis Kelsey. What are you going to do about him? Because again, Patrick has enough secret weapons out there where, again, for me, I don't have any problems with Kansas City between the 20s
Mhm.
because that's where the big plays and you can make things happen. My only concern with the Chiefs is when it comes down to the red zone and the goal line
They struggle with
situation
that.
because you don't have that much space to work with. Again, to me, once they can get that part of their game figured out, sky's the limit for them.
And that was a huge question. In the Chiefs Zoom calls last week, Clyde Edwards-Helaire got down in the red zone and
Yeah,
wasn't able to get in on
yeah.
three tries. So he said that there's definitely some things. Coach McCollum, the running backs coach, he said there's definitely some things Clyde has seen on tape. Everything isn't just peaches and cream of watching film and hey, all these accolades that you got in the first game, right? So
But I,
they've worked on things this week, and I think Andy Reid has drawn up some stuff to make it a little bit easier for Clyde to be able to get into the end zone.
First of all, I laugh because Andy Reid's always drawing up something
Right.
with this offense. But I will say though about what happened last week, the 3 times Houston, they still, they get paid as well. They had a lot of pride. They already let the rookies. They didn't want on the goal line to have a rookie running back on 3 at a time. I think that was more. I think that was more of the Houston Texans than it was the Kansas City Chiefs because pride played a part in them making sure that kid did not get into the end zone. So I don't want to take anything away from what Clyde did that game or what they were even trying to do on the goal line. But I do want to make sure that the Texans get a little bit of credit for what they did because again, because I think we saw Thursday night where Cleveland couldn't get in, from less than a half a yard
Right.
on the goal line. So
Right.
so sometimes when you get down there in the trenches, the other team have a little pride as well. So they do get paid, and I don't want to take nothing away from them in that regards.
One positive thing, and I want to go back to this real quick, is you mentioned, and we say this every week: pick your poison, right?
Yes.
You think about last week what they tried to do against the Chiefs. They tried to double Tyreek Hill. Well, see what Patrick Mahomes did. He said, "Okay, you know my guy over here. I'm gonna shoot Demarcus Robinson in the end zone." Of course, he didn't score, but he got him. He got him 2 attempts
There were
in the
definitely
end
there were
zone.
definitely a few times where the score could have and should have been much greater than what it
And
was.
then
Catch the ball,
and
Demarcus.
then you look at okay, well if Demarcus Robinson had a couple drops, all right, well I'm gonna look at Miko Hartman, or I'm gonna look at Travis Kelsey, or okay, well if you take those 2 guys away, I still got a potential, all pro this season in Sammy Watkins that I'm gonna throw at.
And,
Or I'm gonna throw in another guy, Byron Pringle, who if you want to get nitty and gritty, he can get down in there too. So
and,
it's
and,
pick your poison.
and then when you least expect it, I go back to Tyreek Hill, the back of the end zone, and he catches it, touchdown,
Exactly,
Kansas City Chiefs.
exactly. So You know, you can go out there and
And
double these
Patrick can
guys
still
if you
run the
want
ball
to.
too. And Patrick can still run. People forget he can run. If you didn't see what he did against the Houston Texans in the AFC Championship game, the man can run. But shh, don't tell nobody. We'll keep that our little secret. Disrespect Patrick if you want to. See what
But
happens.
you mentioned run. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, now that people know, oh, well, he's a legit threat. And I said this coming, and I don't want people to at me for what I said earlier in the offseason. I said, hey, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's a top draft pick, first round, but the Chiefs are like, you know, they still have to prove that he's able to run the ball. If I'm a defensive coordinator on another team that the Chiefs have to play, I'm gonna say, hey, I'm gonna let Clyde Edwards-Helaire show me what you got. I'm gonna try to take away your
Okay.
receivers. I'm gonna put five DBs out there, and I'm gonna make them run the ball and see if he's able to beat me. Now you're not able to do
Look,
that.
you you were sold on him being rookie of the year. I just didn't think he would want to get enough touches because of the offense. But I mean, everybody has him favored be the rookie of the year. When you and we talk about it ad nauseum, but for me, again, because they have so many weapons, and even if somebody has a bad day, other players can pick up where you left off. Again, you tell me credibly, if they have that many weapons, now the only way is if the other team runs the ball and the team can't the defense can't stop them, and the offense is on the sidelines, but they still have the quick strike capabilities, which they didn't have to do against the Texans, which they can pull out at any time. Outside of that, and obviously outside of injury, you tell me why should I not credibly believe that this team can't go 19-0 with the amount of weapons that they have?
Anthony Gaynor is watching. He said I had amazing tickets to the game, effing COVID. He also said Patrick. He
We
thinks
had
that
seats in
Patrick's
the
gonna
press
go
box. We know exactly what you
30,
mean.
35 for 50, 490 yards and 7 touchdowns. Hey, that'll be a heck of
How many yards?
490.
Yeah,
Seven
that.
touchdowns. My guy
Well,
Ryan
look,
Pitts, who's
he has thrown 6 touchdowns against the Chargers before, so it's not impossible. So we know what he can do. I see. Here's the thing. It makes you wonder because they've already got over the hump whether or not Andy Reid will keep the quote unquote foot on the gas tank,
hmm
so to speak. Look, 2018, Patrick, I think his first 2 games, I know he had 6 touchdowns against Pittsburgh. He had 6 touchdowns against the Rams. Whether or not, they want to, they'll keep doing that remains to be seen. I hope he does. I mean, for
right, right.
for prop bet sakes, I hope he does. But
I mean,
look,
you even have people that are from California, right? My guy Ryan Pitts, who's head track coach down at Baker University, my alma mater. He said Chargers are trash. Go back to anywhere but LA. And he's from Cali, so
damn, man, that's mean, dude. I don't even know what to say about that. These folks got some. I got some serious psychological issues. I understand, but as we always say, wear a mask. You wear a mask, and be able to fill up the stadium soon.
yeah. But you know what? Looking at this game though, what would you say that is going to be the X factor for the Chargers to win?
Oh, for the Chargers to win,
hmm
Tyrod Taylor's going to have to play outside of himself. He's going to have to do things that he doesn't normally do. I mean, we saw how bad they struggled against the Bengals last week. He has to have a hell of a game. He has to have a career game, and he has to not be afraid to challenge to stretch the field, especially with his wide receivers. He has Pro Bowl wide receivers. He needs to take advantage of it, but he needs to not be afraid to throw the ball. If you make a mistake, fine. You make a mistake, but come back. Don't be afraid to challenge. Don't make that. Don't make that. Not granted you're asking somebody to play outside of himself and maybe do something that he doesn't normally do. But to be the Super Bowl champion, you're going to have to do those type of things. And so that's what I think he's going to need to do. I think if Tyrod, is not afraid to stretch the field, Mike Williams, gets maybe 2 touchdowns, 150 yards.
That's
You
the
know what I'm
line.
saying?
If you know, if
You
you
know what I'm
guys
saying?
don't know,
I mean, if he does that, then and they don't win, I'll be okay with that.
I would too.
We'll be really okay with that.
$2,500 richer.
I want to put that out there. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm letting people know. Hey, if you want to go and
We
bet the
need the
line on
28.
Tyrod
We need the
Taylor,
2018 defense to show up today.
right?
Just come away to win. But
Exactly.
but let these wide receivers get a couple of good things. But that being said, if he can do that, Austin Eckler, I think Austin Eckler has to play a role both on the ground and in the air. For Tyrod again, Tyrod is going to he's going to need He's going to need every bit of 350 yards passing to beat this team. And then Eckler is going to have he's going to have close to 80 yards because what you're going to have to do, the only way to really beat Kansas City is you're going to have to force Patrick into some turnovers or get maybe, fumble the ball or force turnover. But you're also, at the end of the day, you're going to have to keep that offense on the sidelines. And the only way to do that is ball control. You're going to have the ball 35, 40 minutes for that to happen.
I'm gonna tell you right now, this is my X factor, and this is for them to win this game, you're gonna have to score more than 16 points. Look, they scored. They had it was 16-13 versus Cincinnati last week. That's not going to win you a ball game against the Kansas City Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes and this offense can put up some points. So you're going to have to score at least 27, 35 points somewhere in there.
Yeah, in the
You're gonna have
30s.
you're gonna have to put some points on the board. And it's not gonna be you're not gonna be able to kick field goals. You're gonna have to actually air the ball out, and like you said, anywhere over 320 350 yards in passing is what you're going to need to hopefully stay in the ball game.
Yeah, look, I just settle for 150 yards for Mike Williams, 2 touchdowns at the end of the day.
That too.
But no. I mean, no, that's a valuable point that you brought up. I mean, but can they do it? And it's just hard for me to see that happening. At the end of the day. Now, look, because I know we want to pick some of these other games.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to ask you, for you, what's the X factor in this game for the Chargers to win, and then we'll, of course, X factor for the Chiefs.
No, it's just what I just said. It's the air the ball out. I mean, Tyrod Taylor cannot allow this team to only score 16 points.
And be physical. You got to be physical with the Chiefs
and,
rookies.
and the thing about it too is they're going to have to make Patrick Mahomes turn the ball over.
Ooh, baby. That gets to win. Hold on.
Yeah.
Can't have my cousin Vinny out here flying around now.
They're gonna have to play a great defensive game. Yeah, and I don't want to say shut the Chiefs down, but you're gonna have to shut the Chiefs down if that makes sense. You're gonna have to make Patrick Mahomes turn the ball over. And I would say an interception, a fumble, something has to go your way in order for you to win this game.
Yeah, and obviously you definitely want to try to make the rookie fumble the ball when he's and it's not that they can't do it. We just have to wait and see. But
and hold on. Here's a lot of what teams try to do is they try to get into a shootout match with the Chiefs. and that's the thing that you cannot do. Get into a shootout with this team is
well, you got to have the weapons too. Some teams can do it.
Right, like Baltimore.
Yeah, well, see, Baltimore's going to do most of their stuff on the ground, but Lamar Jackson, he can't throw. Look, had the Texans had DeAndre Hopkins, they probably would have tried to air it out more. But not too many teams that can go, in the air against Kansas City right now. I would say maybe the Saints, the Cowboys, if they, if they were to get things on track, could probably do so. But and maybe Aaron Rodgers would just because he's Aaron Rodgers.
Hold on, don't forget about them New Orleans, not New Orleans.
I said the Saints.
Okay, the Saints.
That's the first thing I said.
Okay, I was about to make sure. It kind of went over my head, but don't forget.
Okay. But but for the Chiefs, what's the X factor in the game for them? Besides walking on the field.
But I would say you're going to have to continue to do what you do. Patrick Mahomes, continue to air the ball out. Don't fall into the trap of trying to slow the game down, right? Because that's what the Chargers are going to want to do. They want to eat up a lot of clock and try to slow the game down. Get out there and do what you need to do. And Andy Reid, don't try to just make it simple. Continue to keep your foot on the gas, and that's the thing about Andy Reid. Last year, he came in. We thought that he would, not put his foot on the gas. Once he gets up, he seems to kind of like, all right, okay, well, I can just try to run the ball now, or I could try to do this and do that. No, keep your foot on the gas, Andy. Do what you did to win the Super Bowl.
What I like, and I keep comparing this team to 2007 Patriots, and look, nobody was thinking that they were going to go undefeated, all the way up until and through the Super Bowl. But what they did was Bill Belichick knew with that offense, he wasn't taking any chances. Like I think I don't know if it was against Miami, but it was a couple of times in that season they scored 50 points in the ball game. Bill, and they were like, Bill, why you do this? Because a team can always come back. Mm-hmm. You don't want to take any chances. Again, the biggest thing, and this is in all honesty why I say they go 19-0. Because you can't talk that dynasty talk without doing something that's dynastic.
Hmm.
Now, we don't know if you're going to win two, five, seven Super Bowls or whatever. You do one game at a time, and
Right.
you go with what's ahead of you. But if you want to build a lasting legacy, something that people will never forget, people would have never forgotten the Patriots had they not lost that game in the Super Bowl against the Giants. They played them
Right.
week 16 or 17 and then lost them in the Super Bowl. They went 18-1. That's still considered the greatest team, but because you didn't finish it off, so what can you do? How can you say? Because look, other teams have won two Super Bowls back to back. The Patriots were the last to do it, and then of course the Broncos doing it in the '90s. Yeah, you can win it back to back. And to be honest, the Seahawks should have won it back to back too, but that's another story within itself.
Right. No beast mode.
Yeah, no beast mode. But winning it back to back is special, and yeah,
Exactly.
you'll go down with other teams. But how do you win it back to back? If you go 19-0, you become the greatest football team ever. And I was the only one that would have picked him to go 19-0 across the whole sports landscape. So, Sports Center, Kansas City Star, all y'all that be trying to, nobody had them go 19-0. Yeah, don't think I ain't watching you.
But it's easy to just say, oh, well,
No,
they're
it's not.
gonna
No, no,
you.
no,
But
no, it's not.
here's the
No, it's
thing.
not.
You
No,
did
it's
it
not.
last year, and oh, well, they're gonna go 19-0. Well, it's easy to say, oh, well, this team will go 19-0.
No,
Why?
it's not.
Because they won the Super Bowl last year, and
No,
last
it's
year
not.
you just throwing a dart in a
Oh,
dark room and
oh,
trying to hit the
oh, oh,
target.
oh,
Hopefully, you're gonna get a
hold on, hold
target.
on, hold on. First of all, don't come at me like that because
You
no,
did.
no, 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 because we saw them up close. We saw them in Jacksonville scoring 40, 40, 43 points when Tyreek went down. I said, damn, because initially I had them going 12-4, but then I said, well, wait a second now. If they score this many points and Tyreek is out, he's
Hmm.
injured, and they can still score 40 like this at will, and the defense is going to be better than what they had last year, yeah, I didn't see no reason why they couldn't. Now, obviously, you got to account for injuries. They get injured, obviously, all bets are off. You know what I'm saying? If Patrick goes down again and he's out for 2.5 games and they go 1-2 or one
There
and
you
one,
go
no,
again.
no, no, no. I'm saying no, 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 no. I'm saying then, yeah, obviously. But if they lose a game, it happens. But I'm saying if the Chiefs are at full strength, I don't see them losing.
Here's another thing to look at, and we just got this from Adam Schefter. He said that Chiefs coach Andy Reid will wear the same face shield he wore for Kansas City's regular season open, but
Well, there's no.
the Chiefs equipment manager Alan Wright has secured and deployed a product that hockey players use to defog their masks. Reid said over the weekend. So Reid is expecting to have better visibility in Sunday's game against the Chargers.
Well, first of all, they're in almost a dome-like place, and you're not going to get the same condensation. Not raining,
Right,
so
right.
yeah. I mean, that's okay. So what? I mean,
But it was just funny
well,
because
I mean,
you
well,
know
no, it was fun last week because again, it's raining, and so yeah, the thing is going to fog up because of the weather. But you're going to be in sunny LA at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You, you, your shield is not gonna it's not gonna fog up. So,
Andy Reid's hot breath blowing on that that glass, man, that plastic
but
can fog you up.
what I can understand is why would he just wear a mask? Because then you don't have to worry about people trying to read your lips or whatever.
And I think the reason that he said this earlier this week is that it's hard for the microphone to be, it's muffled. You know, you put something in front of your mouth and it's like you just wouldn't be able to hear.
Okay,
So that's the reason that he doesn't want to do that.
I mean, it's not
And
like
which
he
is
got.
another reason that coaches they sent the memo out to teams, hey, we will
Well,
have
they.
disciplinary action if you do not wear your mask.
Yeah, that was just Sean McVay. That was just him just doing his thing. But no, I mean, and look, that you bring up a good point about that. I just, I guess the shield because now you got to cover that, you got to cover that, and hope that
It's
nobody.
no different than what you normally have to do with putting
But
the
it's not. It's
play
no
sheet.
fans in the sense. It's not like they're not going to be able to hear you. I mean, you don't have to yell into it because there's no fan, unless by being there you can hear when they pipe the noise in and stuff over the speakers down there.
And hopefully they don't try to pull a Seahawks move and probably put in too much sound.
No, it has to be between 70 and 85 decibels. So that's league
I'm
mandated.
putting it at 85.0.1111111.
Do that if you want to. So you're gonna lose a first round draft pick, and it ain't worth it. But we do need to take a break. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get our picks. We'll end it with the Chiefs, but we'll start with the rest of Sunday slates, and then we'll give you our predictions on today's game with the Chargers and the Chiefs. 3:25 p.m. kickoff. Of course, you can watch that game on CBS KCTV 5. All right, we are back. Thank you very much. We are back here with the Chiefs cheat sheet, Steve Walls, Darren Smith. Steve, before we go further, of course, before we get out of here, how can people, get a hold of you, social media, follow you, watch you?
Uh, at the W Show KC, remember on 100.1 FM, and Steve Walls KC on all social media platforms, along with at the W Show KC on all social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube as well.
Yeah, and so of course we'll be back at halftime with our halftime show, and then of course we'll follow up with the Chiefs post game stuff. Of course, we'll bring you the Zoom calls, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and whoever else the two stars of the games are, and then we'll probably do a post game show as well. Of course, so you can join us tomorrow night on the Red Hour at 6:30. Myself, Steve Walls, DJ Q, and Sean Tyler will obviously bring you post game stuff for the Kansas City Chiefs and get you ready for, of course, the Monday night matchup tomorrow as well. But Steve, we got games to pick today, man.
We do.
And so we're going to start off with Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans, man. How you see this game going? Who you got winning?
Who? You know what? I wish I had my picks that we did earlier this week
Oh, I
because
remember exactly
you
what you
remember
picked.
who? Oh, so all right. Well, okay. So let me see. I believe I had the Tennessee Titans winning this game,
You did.
and yeah, I had the Tennessee Titans winning this game. I think Derrick Henry's gonna come through and have a huge game.
Yeah, I got Tennessee Titans winning this game as well. I think the whole thing about Gardner Minshew and his what he's done so far. Yeah, I mean it was cool. I mean Colts were you had Philip Rivers. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, Tennessee Titans, all else failed, just get the ball to Derrick Henry. And I think
Mhm.
Jadeveon Clowney is going to have a good home debut for the Titans. Next up, Steve, let's see what we got here because I got this kind of out of, the New York Giants, New York football Giants at the Chicago Bears. Now, we saw what the Giants looked like Monday night. Saquon Barkley only had 6 yards. 15 carries for 6 yards. Obviously, Tiki Barber came out strong against him this week.
Mhm.
Barkley says to use that as motivation. I don't think it's going to matter at the end of the day. I like the Bears at home, and not because of Mitchell Trubisky. I like it more so for the defense. I think the team won in spite of Trubisky last week with that defense. But all things being said, Bears over the Giants.
I like the Bears as well. Trubisky's coming into this game with a lot to prove, right? A lot of people, fans included, are saying, "Hey, we don't want this quarterback on our team." So he's coming in and saying, "Hey, I think that I should be in the NFL, and I'm gonna show you why." So I got the Bears over the Giants.
All right. Hate to see. Hopefully, we won't agree on too many of these things right now. But also, next up, we have the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. Of course, Packers came off of a 43-34 win against the Minnesota Vikings last week. The Lions, of course, they lost to the Bears 27-23. I got the Packers winning just because I don't care for Matt Patricia. I don't really need any other reason than that.
I like Detroit. A lot of family in Detroit. However, I don't like the football team, and I don't like them to win in today's game, right? Because Aaron Rodgers, it's hard to go against Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers last week, 364 yards, 4 touchdowns, 32 of 44. You can't go against that. It's going to be hard to beat. So I got the Green Bay Packers.
What I like about the Packers, what I like, and look, they're a sleeper because Aaron Rodgers said in the offseason, nobody's talking about it. Feel like they're underdog. Of course, they went to the NC Championship game. But
Mm-hmm.
what I like about him is based off of what the team did, drafting the quarterback first round. Aaron Rodgers is pissed off. A pissed off Aaron Rodgers is a good Green Bay Packers team because he feels like he got a chip on the shoulder, and he has something to play for. And I think somebody I was talking to on the show last week talked about how he could easily win an MVP this year. So we'll see how the season unfolds. But yeah, we both got
Chiefs
the
fans may
Packers.
have something to say about that.
Well, yeah, that as well. The game. Let's talk about this one. Minnesota Vikings at the Indianapolis Colts. Again, Philip Rivers being the quarterback that he is, he was 36 to 46, 360 yards, 1 touchdown, but as usual, multiple interceptions, 2 interceptions in that game. Kirk Cousins, 259 passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I like the Vikings with their defense on the road because you feel like you got a chance to force Philip Rivers into some multiple turnovers, and I think that's what's going to happen today, and why the Vikings will end up beating the Colts on the
Look,
road.
I like the Vikings in this game because, of course, Rivers, cry me a river, Rivers is gonna be Rivers. He's gonna throw interceptions. He's gonna try to do too much. And Rivers hasn't changed his tune since he was in San Diego. So I mean, yeah, it's hard to go against the Vikings in this game. Adam Thielen's gonna have a great day, and Dalvin Cook as well.
And maybe T.Y. Hilton will have a decent game,
Yeah, true. That
particular
too.
reason. Next up, we got the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. Look, Ryan Fitzpatrick did not have the Fitz magic going last week against the New England Patriots. And look, the defense it's kind of making me waver about my pick for tonight's game, but they forced Ryan Fitzpatrick into 3 interceptions last week,
Mhm.
so we know that the Patriots can get after him. But with this team, Buffalo, they have one of the best defensive backs in Tre'Davious White, and so he's had an interception 2 of the last 3 games against Miami. I like Josh Allen. I like the Buffalo Bills big. I think by at least 2 touchdowns in this game against Miami.
I like Miami in this game. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's if you look at what he's done over the past couple years, he started out very slow, right? Even last year, and then he tried to turn it on at the end of the season, which by then it was too late. But the Chiefs fans won't say that because that's how the Chiefs, got home field advantage in the playoffs.
Right.
So I'm going with the Miami Dolphins in this game. Hopefully, Fitz Magic is able to have more
Get a
than
few yards.
191 yards than he did last week.
Knock on wood on that. Next up, 49ers at the New York Jets. Now, the 49ers are going to be without George Kittle. They ruled him out. He had a suffered knee injury against the Arizona Cardinals next week. I got the 49ers winning big over the Jets. It's nothing about Adam Gates or anything that they're doing. Of course, Le'Veon Bell is out. I don't know if I can't remember if he's out for the season or not, but he's out. Frank Gore is going to play. He's playing against, I believe, his old squad. So it was a team that he started with the 49ers. But I like 49ers to bounce back as the NFC defending champions against the Jets in this game.
San Francisco is the sexy pick for this game, right? I mean that would be who everybody
And they're
thinks.
also without
Okay,
Richard Sherman. He's out he's on the IR as well.
right, but Jimmy G, he's not the Jimmy G of last year. Just by looking at what he did last week, I mean he had
Still got Mostert
259
though.
passing yards, yeah, but he's just not. He doesn't do it for me. No George Kittle. That's his safety net.
But they're going to playing against the Jets.
I say all that to say I think the 49ers is going to win just because I don't believe in Sam Darnold. He had 215 yards last week and a touchdown, but it's 49ers.
All right, Los Angeles Rams at the Philadelphia Eagles. This game is on the road for the Rams. Early game kicks off at noon. I like the Rams in this game against the Eagles. Look, Carson Wentz could surprise us, but the way he played last week, and that team giving up those big plays at the end, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I see. With Aaron Donald, what he did against Cowboys last week, I see him duplicating that. I don't see Jalen Ramsey in a position where he's going to get called for pass interference or
Right.
anything again. So I like the Rams big in this game against the Eagles.
I like the Rams in this game as well. You think about what Jared Goff did last week, 20 of 31, 275. So I like them in this game.
Yeah, all right. Next up, the Atlanta Falcons at the Dallas Cowboys. Steve, who you got in this game?
Why? Normally you've been saying so you want to hear? Okay, all right, here it is. Dallas Cowboys. I think Dak has to, and I've been saying this. Dak has to come into this season with a lot to play for. He's trying to play for money. He's trying to play for a big payday. He's seen Deshaun Watson. He's seen Patrick Mahomes all get deals. He wants to get his money. I think
You
Dallas is
better
going to
play
come
like
out.
it.
Dallas is going to come out and win this game. However, Julio is going to have a huge day. Matt Ryan, he's not the Matt Ryan that we saw before he got his deal a few years back.
So
So
last week it was 450 yards.
yeah, 450, but
They still
they
lost.
lost,
Caught
right?
that L.
so
Caught that
so
L.
when you catching these L's, I think they fall right behind one another. So I think Dallas is going to come in. Zeke's going to have a huge day too.
Look. I still don't believe that the Falcons ever got over that Super Bowl loss, and I don't know how long that can continue to carry over. But I still don't think mentally that they've been the same ever since that loss. The
Dang, they
Cowboys,
carrying weight from 2-3 years ago.
hey, it happens. But the Cowboys, look, the Cowboys, they have to win today's game.
Mhm.
Again, I did a little pregame with some Cowboy people last night, and what took away from that is that if the Cowboys go 0-2
Mhm.
with all with all the stuff with all the hype as usual that they've gotten or that they get each and every year, to fall to 0-2 with a new head coach. Well, hell, you could have kept Jason Garrett if you were going to do that. I mean, Kellen Moore is still calling the plays, but the plays still look the same from what they did last year. I think that they need to go through Ezekiel Elliott. Just got to be creative in your play calling.
Right.
Alden Smith looked great last week
He did.
for
Shout out to Alden too. After all he's been through, man.
yeah, and so look, now they did suffer a rash of injuries, but they still, to me, have the better talent overall, especially on offense. I mean, but Dak has all the weapons he needs. To me, you know, Dak should not, when the camera looks on him, he should not be looking all glossy eyed or whatever. Like,
Right.
Coach, what do I do? What do I do? No, you need to make things happen, especially if you want to get paid. If you want to be in that at that level that you're getting paid is $39-40 million with Patrick and Deshaun or whatever. The franchises trust and believe in him. They say they trust and believe in you in Dallas,
Exactly.
but you got to prove it. And the only way for me that you got to prove with them is one, you got to win the games that you're supposed to win. You may not have been expected to win the game, but you need to win this game and you need to win it big. Plus, they'll have damn near 70,000 people at the stadium because the governor this week said that they could have up to 75 stadiums could have up to 75%.
That's
If that's
crazy, man.
100,000 people, look, Jerry Jones is going to try to get as many people in the stadium as he can
That's
to make it a
crazy.
home game, and then he'll he'll
I don't
he'll
understand it.
he'll suffer whatever punishment later. But if he can do that, then that's what they'll do. So we both got the Cowboys winning. Next up, Carolina Panthers, Tampa Bay Bucks. For me, I need the Bucks to win. I can't have them as my Super Bowl representative going 0-2. Really, Tom Brady getting called out by the coach last week. I can't. It's hard for me to see the Bucks losing, the Tom Brady losing 2 games in a row. I got them winning. I'm not gonna say they're gonna win handily, but they're going to win this game against the Panthers.
Yeah, Teddy B's not gonna beat Tom Brady, man. I just don't see it. However, look, I don't want Tom Brady to have any
I know you
success this
don't.
season,
I know you don't.
and
You
it's
don't
very
want
apparent.
just to
But I
spite
just
me.
I don't want him to. So I think. But that being said, I still think Tampa Bay is gonna get a win today.
All right, so let's look at the. See, we got a few more games today. Let's look at the afternoon games. We have the Washington football team at the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, games at 3:05. Isaiah Simmons, local kid out of Olathe, first play of the game last week. Had the horse caught her, but hey, mom was so excited. That's my baby. So it was good to see that
Is that
team.
how his mom sounded for real?
Nah, she was screaming in my ear. She was very much excited. But the good thing about that is that they actually have a good team, both offense and defense. The addition of DeAndre Hopkins is going to pay very high dividends for Kyler Murray. Of course, I think that extends Larry Fitzgerald's career another year. Uh, Kenyon Drake, he has 60 yards and a touchdown. The only thing that scares me about this offense is that Cliff Kingsbury and the way he calls these plays,
Hmm.
Kyler Murray scrambles around and stuff. And sometimes it's like, dude, I can see him taking a massive hit that he shouldn't have to take because of that line protecting him. But I do like Arizona at home. Washington football team played a great game last week. They came back to win against the Philadelphia Eagles 27-17. Ron Rivera is a good head coach. But if you ask between Dwayne Haskins and Kyler Murray, Antonio Gibson or DeAndre Hopkins or Terry McLaurin, I got to go with Arizona all day long.
Look, I'm going with Arizona as well. They had
Glad
a
you agree with me, Steve.
they won tremendously with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, he's an All Pro. He's going down into the NFL Hall of Fame, first ballot if it's left up to me. So it's Kyler Murray wants to make people a believer, and he's going to do that. And I think this is going to be another week where he's going to be showing what he's able to do.
All right. Next up, we got Baltimore Ravens at the Houston Texans.
Mm.
I know we're a little over time, so I'll just say as much I love me some Deshaun Watson. I don't normally pick against him, but I know you thought this would be a trap game. I got Baltimore winning this game. I think Baltimore has to go into the game against the Kansas City Chiefs 2-0.
Oh,
They have to.
I don't see the Houston Texans losing two in a row, man. I think they went back down to Houston and they figured out exactly what they needed to do to win. And I
Yeah.
think they're not playing Mahomes. Deshaun, they're able to slow the game down a little bit, which is what they wanted to do last year. And Will Fuller's going to have a heck of a game.
All right, I want to look at the night game before we end off with the Chiefs, Patriots, Seattle Seahawks. This is, of course, a rematch from when they, uh, you know, played in the Super Bowl. I believe it was Super Bowl 49 or 48 that they
Mm-hmm.
faced off against one another. Belichick is 3-3 against his team. Carroll's 3-1 against them. The only game they lost was, of course, in the
Bless
Super Bowl. So that being the case, I have the Seahawks winning at home. I think this game is going to be real close. I think Cam is going to. People were concerned about the 15 carries that he did last week, but Cam is in a new system. He wants to prove a point. I think he still wants to prove that he's still that guy. I think he's going to do whatever it takes that's needed to win. So if he has to run 15 times and throw for 250, 300 yards, I think he'll do that. I don't see him throw for 400 yards. He's only done that 3 times in his career. But I think it'll be a close game. I think Seattle will figure out a way. I like their defense. Jamal Adams with the sack last week. I think he's been a great addition. He and Bobby Wagner. That defense is going to be solid. I think it's going to be more of a defensive matchup than anything Russell Wilson and Cam Newton does. But I think this is a game that's made for prime time. You got two Super Bowl winning coaches. You got a quarterback that played in the Super Bowl. You got a quarterback that's won a Super Bowl. You got defense. This is going to be a good matchup. But I got Seattle winning.
With that being said, I have I think New England's going to do it. I
Okay.
think New England's going to come in and win this game, and because Cam is another guy like
Cam.
Kyler that wants to prove himself that
Oh,
he still
Cam.
has it, right? He who wants to show everybody that, hey, I can come in here and I can replace Tom Brady and take these New England Patriots to the promised land. And I think people are riding behind him. We heard Bill Belichick say it. We've heard his teammates said, "Hey, we're following behind Cam." He's shown us throughout preseason, training camp, and throughout the summer, if during his workouts, that Cam is a guy that we're going to go with, and we're going to follow him and run through a wall for him.
Yeah, nah, I'll be honest. That's the only game that it would not surprise me if New England upset or won that game. So I wouldn't be necessarily upset, but I could see them still winning. All right, final game, of course, Steve. We got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers again. 3:25 kickoff on CBS. They'll be breaking in the SoFi Stadium for the AFC side against the Chargers. Jim Nance, Tony Romo calling the game. And your thoughts on this?
I think the Chiefs are going to pull it out, man. If I had to give a score prediction, I would say 41-27. And
27. Okay.
that's the score. I think that the Chiefs are going to have a huge day in the air. Clyde Edwards-Helaire will have over 100 yards rushing. However, I do think that Patrick Mahomes will turn the ball over. He will throw an interception.
Mm.
Joey Bosa is going to have a Joey Bosa type day, but the Chiefs are just going to be too much, and you're going to see why we always say pick your poison, because they're going to try to take away Travis Kelce. They're going to try to take away Tyreek Hill. Sammy Watkins is going to have a huge day as well.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with you on Patrick with the turnover because thus far 2 years he's yet to have a turnover in September. So don't go trying to jinx him.
I'm not
But you
calling a
just did.
spade a spade.
Okay. Well, all that being said, I got Kansas City. I've already predicted I got them winning 38-13 over them, but this is before I did my prop bet, so now I need to at least be 17. At least I need Mike Woods to get 2 touchdowns, 150 yards. All that being said, I got Kansas City winning 38-17 now against the Chargers. I think that Patrick gets 5 touchdowns. I think he get close to 377 yards, which is what he needs. And I think because they know that it's been kind of mentioned throughout the week. Andy, being a guy of like mind, will want to air it out. One, just because as much as he loves the ground game and being able to show a balanced offense, he still wants to show off his shiny toys and stuff like that. So
Right.
I like them big in this game. Joey, I think that the Chiefs, I think they get a chance to really contain Bosa and Ingram. I mean, they might get a play here or there, but all in all, Tyrod Taylor's going to play outside of himself. I don't think that'll happen. I think he'll do just enough to, get us $2,500 a piece, Steve. And to me, that's all that really matters. But
There it is.
I got Kansas City winning 38-13 to win their 11th game in a row and their second game of the season, go 2-0 with 17 more wins to come this season.
Man, it's been fun today.
Been real fun.
Been fun today. Jazz has been
Shout out.
working through it.
Yeah, the
Hey,
Chiefs are
she's
tired.
exactly out here controlling the board and everything like
Appreciate
that.
it.
So we appreciate that. And man, this Arrowhead in the background. I just wish the team was playing here.
Well, not today. I mean, I wish we were in LA doing this.
Hey, we're still here for the next at least 10, 15 minutes. You guys can still stop by Gates and pick us up something.
Or Colin, just text me. I'll come by there and pick up some food too. Don't have a problem with that. I'll do that. But look, we'll be back here. I think next Monday afternoon, as we prepare for, of course, the
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs against the Baltimore Ravens. Monday Night Football live from Baltimore on ESPN. So you and I'll be back. Of course, I didn't get a chance to say it. Of course, you can hear me Monday through Friday, ESPN Kansas City with Darren and Sterling. 94.5 FM, 1510 AM. And then, of course, on Thursday nights following Thursday Night Football on the ship on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And, of course, follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Darren Smith, WHB. For Steve Walls of the Darren Smith, Sports Radio 810 WHB, this is the Chiefs Cheat Sheet. We are out of here. Wear your mask, social distance, and go Chiefs.